A response from the Justice Department. The DOJ says it is responding to lawmakers' request for information on Dan Richman, the friend of former FBI Director James Comey, who leaked details of Comey's memos to the media. Comey gave that information to Richman, but denied it was a leak to Bret Baier last month.
You call him a good friend and a professor, but you didn't reveal that you had hired him as a special government employee for the FBI to work on special projects. Why?
Because it wasn't relevant. He was an FBI special government employee until February of 2017.
Did you have other special... Did you leak other things through Mr. Richman?
Yeah. I'm smiling, Brett. I don't consider what I did with Mr. Richman a leak. I told him about an unclassified conversation with the president.
Fox News is reporting that the House Oversight Committee hasn't received anything yet, but does expect to get documents by tomorrow. Joining me now is Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. How does this fit into the broad picture of what the Justice Department has been sitting on and withholding from Congress?
Well, we'll know that when we see the documents,
Okay.
because sometimes the Justice Department holds things back because they're embarrassing to the Justice Department, not because they contain classified material. But I will tell you, it is highly unusual for the DOJ or for a local federal prosecutor to release anything to either of the other branches of government, the courts or the Congress, during a criminal investigation. And the Mueller investigation is still going on. So this obviously goes to Comey's credibility and to the credibility of a professor, former assistant U.S. attorney at Richmond. But we don't know what's there. We don't know the circumstances under which he was hired. We don't know exactly what Jim Comey gave him. We don't know exactly what he did with it. The Comey's version is there was nothing classified, and what he read out loud to reporters without sharing the documents from which he was reading was not classified. It was Comey's memorialization of what he and the president discussed. It remains to be seen if there's more there.
Judge, I think that the growing sense among some Americans is we need to prosecute the leakers and the liars.
That is a growing sense.
So, and because you hear about one lie after another, one leak after another, across the whole spectrum of issues.
But remember, not all lies are criminal and not all leaks are criminal.
Correct.
And the DOJ, first of all, the DOJ is not going to prosecute somebody that's also its witness. They may want to prosecute Jim Comey if he appears not to have told the truth under oath after he's a witness for Bob Mueller. They're not going to do it now because that would diminish his effectiveness as a witness.
But why is it important that these House committees get this information? Because, again, Congress doesn't have the power to prosecute.
Correct.
They have the power to expose.
Correct. They do not have the power to prosecute. They do not have the power to exonerate. There's an actual clause in the Constitution called the Bill of Attainder Clause, which prevents Congress from declaring somebody as a matter of law guilty. The reason that's in there is because Parliament used to do that. Parliament declared Thomas Jefferson guilty of treason. Of course, that's absurd under our system. There's got to be a trial. Right. So when they wrote the Constitution, they put that in there. But there's a little bit of tension here, and I think tension is good because it prevents one side from getting a little too strong. And the tension is this. The Congress controls the budget, and the DOJ answers to these various committees. So Congress has got its thumb on the DOJ. On the other hand, the DOJ can't expose too much midstream because that will cause some witnesses to flee or some defendants to flee, which is why you rarely see documents come out in the midst of an ongoing criminal investigation. And there's a federal rule of criminal procedure that would permit prosecutors to withhold from anybody, even judges, documents that are in the midst of an ongoing criminal investigation if the revelation of those documents would harm the investigation.
In terms of Jim Comey, what you are starting to see is this book promotion that he's been doing where he gave an interview to everybody. It could get him into trouble because Chuck Grassley revealed new evidence just recently on May 12th, I think, that Comey told Congress a different story last year about the truthfulness of former White House National Security Advisor Michael Flynn than he was telling the public.
You and Maria and the panel and I have discussed this before, and I'll repeat what I said. I am stunned that Bob Mueller permitted Jim Comey to go on the 2-week book tour. as smart as Comey is, he really shot himself in the foot, or as we say in this business, stepped on his own tongue by contradicting himself a couple of times. Now, what he says on television can be a lie, but if he says something on television to sell a book that's different than what he told a committee in secret or a committee under oath in public, there's going to be an issue there. So Senator Grassley is quite right, quite correct to want to examine this.
I love it. I want to turn to